Hello, everybody, and welcome to RSBANDBupdate Supplemental. This is the thing where we go into depth on a certain RuneScape update, provide insight into its technical contents. That's at least what we had intended it to be, but we're changing up the format just a little bit to still cover technical details, but also to cover opinions on the update and an interesting segment that will be debuting in a couple weeks, your views. So without further ado, just remember that you can find us at rsbandb.com/forums, or you can follow me on the Twitters at shade12088. So with that being mentioned, let's dive into this week's update, the Treevolution update, and first up, the Elder Tree. So you can see here that we're chopping an Elder Tree. These require level 90 woodcutting to chop. They give 325 experience per chop. That is when you get a log, and they're not the best for training experience overall. There's better options for that we'll get to in just a little bit. But first off, I think what we're seeing here in this frame is the ideal spot to chop an Elder Tree if you are looking forward to do that with ivy woodcutting, because we do have an ivy growing patch just on the right hand side, the top right of this RuneScape window. So let's just say that if you're woodcutting at 70 plus, give or take, and you do this all the way up to level 90, once you get to level 90, if you decide to continue on to 94, you can just chop the Elder Tree when it becomes available, send the items to bank, or take a quick run to the Falador bank every so often, and you will gain some logs that are pretty valuable. So this is probably the ideal spot to do that. But with that being said, let's talk about some of these specific locations where you can actually find these Elder Trees. Alright, so in addition to the tree that is south of Falador, you can also find the Elder Trees in a variety of locations. The first one being south of the Piscators fishing colony in the low-level hunting spot where we all started off hunting. You can also find one north of the Legends Guild and south of the flax fields. You can also find one here in Edgeville near the yew tree and the river, kind of bordering Barbarian Village. You can also find one in the Elven Lands, which is conveniently placed next to the Magic Trees, which is also, if you're looking for an additional landmark where you can recharge your crystal equipment if you need to recharge, say, a crystal seed to teleport to Liledia or something like that. You can also find one south of Yanil, which, as you can see here, is located close to a crystal tree, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And also in the Gnome Stronghold, which is easy to get to through a spirit tree, or maybe even walking all the way up there through the Ardoyan Fairy Ring. Lodestone teleport. And finally, we got one here south of Falador, which is just to the east of the old Demon Circle where that quest takes place. And the last one that was found is south of the Drainer Bank, just before you run on the bridge to the Wizard's Tower. Alright, so here you can see now we're at the Crystal Tree in the Gnome Stronghold area. The Crystal Trees are really, in my view, the gem of this update, pardon the pun, but they require level 94 woodcutting. They give about 434.5 experience per chop, which is kind of an odd number, but we'll take it anyways. It's very nice. And they are immaculate for training past level 94. We did a couple tests, and experience is ranged anywhere from 85,000 all the way up to 100,000 plus XP per hour if you are wearing the full lumberjack gear and equipped properly with a dragon hatchet and all the other goodies that you can use when you're woodcutting. So very, very fast experience. Now the only downside with these trees is that they only stay in place for 2 hours. So this means that every 2 hours the current tree will change positions, and you'll need to find a different tree, which is in one of the locations that I'll mention in about a minute or two. And once you find this tree, you can stand there for 2 hours, just chop, and get excellent experience rates. You don't get anything when you chop them, unlike the elder trees, but they do have a chance of dropping a crystal geode rather than a bird's nest, which does mean that you can get things like gems, crystal triskelion pieces, and maybe even a crystal seed from the elves. So rewards are available even aside from experience. So with that being said, let's look at some of the locations for the crystal trees. So aside from our current location in the Gnome Stronghold, crystal trees are also available north of Melzar's Maze and south of the Witch's House, which is just to the west of Falador. And as you can see here, we also got another ivy patch in the close proximity to these crystal trees here. Another crystal tree is also available south of the Sears Village Courthouse. And you can also note that if you come across an empty tree, you can examine the tree and it will say the tree leans slightly towards the west, which means that is the direction that the active crystal tree is at. In this case, it was at the Gnome Stronghold. We also got one here, which is south of Yunel, which is close to the Elder Tree. So once again, you could employ the same tactic of chopping the crystal tree and then taking a break to the Elder Tree, maybe, if you want to do something like that, which is very close to the Yunel Bank. We also have one here on Karamja, which is close to the Lodestone or the House Portal, or even the Brimhaven sailboat port. And we also got one here, close to the lighthouse up in the Fremennik province. This one's kind of far out. The best way to get to this one is a Games Necklace or the Fremennik Player on House Portal tablet. And we also got one here, which is located close to the observatory north of the Castle Wars minigame. Alright, so given that this update is largely to do with primary ingredients and the gathering skill of woodcutting, I thought I'd just devote a couple of seconds here to tell you guys what the experience is for actually creating secondary products with these new Elder logs. First off, you get 101.2 experience for creating an Elder shortbow, and also, as fletching works, you get 101.2 for stringing it as well. You get 116.4 for creating an Elder shield bow, and if you decide to burn these logs, you get 434.7 experience per log, which requires level 90 for all of these actions, actually, and 450 XP for adding these to a bonfire. That pretty much sums up this RSBANB update supplemental. Thank you everyone for watching, and remember to listen to the show this weekend when it is released. You can subscribe to it on iTunes or just visit update.rsbandb.com to gather all the information on it. And remember to send those questions in. The questions topic can be found on the forums. You can find a link to that in the description of this video. See you on the weekend, everyone.